Hello, and welcome to a special bonus edition of the Divorce and Beyond podcast. I'm Susan Guthrie, your host, and just today I had the opportunity to do an Instagram Live with my friend and colleague, Laura Wasser. Yes, that Laura Wasser, the one that you're always seeing in the tabloids and People magazine and on Entertainment Tonight or whatever the gossip show du jour is. She is Hollywood's go-to divorce attorney, but Laura has a lot more going on than just divorce. She has a whole new slate of exciting things happening. We talk all about it in the Instagram Live, and I thought, hey, why not share it with all of you so that you can hear it as a podcast or watch it on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned and listen to my recent very fun chat with Laura Wasser. Hello, listeners. So we are just jumping on with the Instagram Live with Laura Wasser. You've been seeing me post about it all week. I'm just sending her an invite right now. There it is. Joining me in a minute. And this is going to be a lot of fun because I know you guys think of Laura as, Hollywood's go-to. Hey, Johnny.
Hi there. Sorry, I didn't realize I was going to be on camera.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to Instagram Live. You're live, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I will just X out. Laura should be joining any second now.
No problem.
Okay, good to see you.
Although it's fun to have you too, Johnny.
Thank you.
You guys don't know, but you just got another celebrity drop in. Johnny Rains.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Johnny. Hey, TH is out there. Hi. So this is going to be fun, guys. And if you have questions for Laura, I have a couple that you guys sent in ahead of time. But and they're kind of fun. I think the two that I picked out. Here we go. Here comes Laura. And but if you guys have questions for her, this is your chance. Really, you don't get this chance to sort of dive into the mind. There she is. Hey, Laura.
Hi.
Hi. We got a little flash of Johnny there for a second. It's kind of fun.
I saw.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you doing, Susan?
I'm good. I was just telling everybody that I know everybody thinks of Laura Wasser, Hollywood's go-to divorce attorney, but you have so much else going on in your world. I actually don't know how much time you have to practice law anymore. I do see pictures every once in a while of you marching into the courthouse in some fabulous outfit with a beautiful briefcase, but how often are you really getting to practice these days?
I practice a lot, and I'm practicing actually more than I have been because some of my other responsibilities with the online stuff have shifted. So I'm actually getting back into it. We're going to be back in our offices next Monday for the first time in 2 years. And so, yeah, I'm very excited about kind of getting the gang back together again in our suite.
I was going to say, because I've gotten pretty used to seeing you in your living room there.
Yes, this may be one of the last times, unless you come over for a drink, that you see me in my living room.
Good idea. It's funny, I just went out to lunch with one of my Chicago divorce compatriots here, and we were talking about, you haven't been here in Chicago. That was the last time I think I saw you in person. That's probably 2.5 years ago or so.
That was October 2019.
Oh my God. I mean, it's so hard to even imagine, and think how much the world has changed.
I know. I am so excited. I actually have plans later this month. I'm going to be in Miami for 2 days, New York City for 2 days, and then Hawaii, not for work, but really like getting out there again and being able to talk about what I am so passionate about. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we're just taking off for the first I want is a picture of me on a camel. That's like my life goal, just a picture on a camel. So, but just the idea that I can get on a plane and go somewhere like out of the country again is pretty exciting.
Yes.
So, well, we have all kinds of fun stuff to talk about, but if it's okay, I have some of my podcast listeners who, when they heard you were going to be on, sent in a couple of questions. There were a lot of questions, but they kind of honed down into two categories. So if I can just sort of run a couple of them by you and see what you have to say. So the first one I think is very funny, and you probably get it a lot, but do you only represent celebrities, or do you, this is the word that, the phrase that was used, or do you represent real people too?
Yes, I represent real people as well. So our firm, Wasser, Cooperman and Mandels, there are 16 of us. And I think that the reason that people assume that we only represent celebrities is because that's all you hear about. But no, of course, we have many, regular people like you and I. Most of them are high net worth. They have a lot of money. And most of our clients, whether they're famous or not, really do put a lot of weight on keeping things as private as they can. So we do take a lot of these cases out of the system. Sometimes I can't get the person on the other end to agree to do it privately, which is why you see me marching into court with my great briefcases.
But I do know, and I think that's probably something that's very attractive to your higher net worth and celebrity clients, is that you've always had that. I've always admired that about you. You talk about that, trying to keep families out of that court system, out of that adversarial process as much as possible. And that's actually kind of where the second question went. And I thought it was an interesting question from a listener. I thought it showed a little insight. She said that she knows that, we see every day, we open up our phone and see a million celebrity or high profile cases in the news. How sensationalized are they, do you think? Because you kind of know the back end of some of these stories or what these cases are like. Does the news tend to sensationalize what's happening for press reasons or reasons of getting people to read it? Or do you think the press actually gets it right?
No, they sensationalize it as much as they can. I mean, we've dealt with a lot of kind of First Amendment issues here in Southern California about that stuff, whether or not, press can come into the courtrooms, how can they get their hands on the actual documents. One issue is sometimes that people in the media don't necessarily understand certain things that are happening within a legal matter. And so they'll write it without understanding what it is that they're saying. And I don't think there's any malicious intent. They just don't get it. And then everybody picks up on it and reads it. They also will pull out only the most interesting things that they think that their readers or viewers will want to know about. And so sometimes it's out of context. With the advent of kind of 24-hour news cycles, and that's certainly happened during our careers. It didn't start in the 90s. It started in the 2000s. That things happen a lot more quickly. And so you'll see news stories that are getting updated like by the minute as they kind of get more information. It's frustrating for me and my colleagues to read stuff because we, as a rule, will not speak about our cases. That is not the case with all of our colleagues. And so they'll sometimes put a spin on it or figure out a way to make it sound like they maybe did better for their client than they did. And then you've got the actual celebrities themselves who have public relations people who also may not completely understand what's going on, but they'll want to put out what has happened in terms of a win or whatever that narrative is. So it's frustrating. There's always some kernel of truth, but it always kind of devolves as you start reading the article. So I try to stay away from reading any of it. Then you've also got, parties themselves that are posting stuff on their own social media, whether or not they completely understand what's going on. So it is a whole different way of doing things these days. And again, where the majority of parties will want to keep their family law matters private for the sake of their family, some of them don't. Some of it comes out. Some of it needs a response sometimes from somebody. And that can be, we sometimes are handcuffed by our very strict policy not to say anything.
Right. Well, and that's, I would say too, I actually responded to the person who wrote that question and said, you will, I don't think, ever see a quote from you talking about one of your cases. It just is not a part of what you do. But you do see, actually, it was funny. You posted something. I'm just going to allude to it. You posted a picture of yourself on Instagram not long ago, and you were sticking your tongue out. And I so enjoyed that picture. I inferred all kinds of things in my mind behind it.
Which probably was a mistake on my part. It had nothing to do with the case. It happened to be later in the day, on a day when I was in court, but because it's so divorced, excuse the pun, from what I do in my work, it didn't ever occur to me that it would be interpreted that way. And I was like, oh my God, what is this about? And then a couple of news organizations picked it up. And again, I don't comment, so I couldn't even say it wasn't true. I won't be doing that again anytime soon. It was an important lesson for me to learn. It had nothing to do with any of our cases.
Well, we just cleared that up, everybody. So I'm glad we got that out there. And that's, I do think I get a little frustrated reading the news stories at times, or having people ask me questions when they've taken language that's really ordinary day-to-day stuff that's just always in pleadings, and they put the worst possible spin and interpretation on it. Because I think, unfortunately, it perpetuates a very negative perception of divorce as a whole. I mean, as I think you know, and have said, sometimes divorce is the best thing that can happen for people. And so to put that spin on it really just sort of demonizes the entire thing for a family that doesn't need that on top of everything.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and then I do want to talk about, because I was excited to see this, what people probably know up to now, but maybe not. You are a sort of a pioneer in the tech world of divorce as well. You are the founder of It's Over Easy, which was the first platform that I know of that actually took DIY divorce and made it accessible to the entire country. And you've had some big news about It's Over Easy recently. Can you share that with everybody?
Sure. So we launched in 2018. It's so funny that you said an entrepreneur in tech, because I still I have to get my kids to print stuff for me at the house here. I'm so technologically challenged. However, I did really see a need for kind of an easier, more cost-effective way for people to go through divorce if it wasn't complicated, if they could kind of work out their issues and then fill out the forms and submit them to, the court in whatever their jurisdiction was. So we created It's Over Easy, and we plugged along for 4 years. And at the end of last year, a much bigger company called Divorce.com, who had also been doing it for a while, but also had a bunch of, they were doing kind of a roll up. They had some co-parenting plans, the co-parenting portals that we like to use and talk about. And they are really trying, because we were acquired by them, and now I'm working with them. I am their Chief of Divorce Evolution. That's my title.
I love that.
And I really believe in it, as I always did. And I'm going to be working with them, not only to kind of be spreading the word about the fact that in this, time, it is so necessary to have something that's more affordable, that allows people to kind of be the masters of their own destiny. And also, as you know, because we've talked about it before, you can then, when you have those papers and you're filling them out, come to somebody like you, or listen to a podcast of one of ours, or actually even employ a lawyer, but for a limited purpose or a limited period of time, so that you and your spouse can get through it. And again, so much less money, so much less aggravation if you can do it. And it really, really is a great platform. So I'm very excited to be working with them. I'm very excited to continue doing what we've been doing. And I really hope that it takes off. Through COVID, all of the online, offerings to people in this space really spiked. And I think that's super exciting. I also think that in our practice, we saw a lot more kind of online remote stuff, and also mediation oriented kind of things. I'm a board member at Loyola Law School. So we had our first in-person board meeting last night, and we were talking about just the changes since all of us were in law school, what's gone on in law, and how family law is one of the last ones to kind of change and get with the program, and how we really have had to, and how it ends up being a really good thing for a lot of the clients or users that are going through what is not a very fun time generally.
Yeah, it's such a good point to say that, because it reminds me, you've said, and maybe people don't know, your father is a very well-known family law attorney. You're a member, you're a partner in the same firm with your dad. And you said once at an event that you were speaking at, that really the law that you came into the practicing was the same type of practice as your dad. And it's not until this past 2 years, I think, where I think because of COVID, bad as that has been, a silver lining is we're starting to do things differently. And things like It's Over Easy, which maybe seemed a little like tech, too tech scary to people, or I'm not sure. Now people are like, tech is my world. I want to do everything online. So I'm thrilled to hear it spiked. I assumed it had gone up in usage during COVID. I think it's, family law has forever changed. I think law has forever changed.
Agreed. Totally agree. But in so many ways it hasn't changed. I mean, besides the advent of same-sex marriage, and at least here in California, a lot more kind of father's rights and almost a presumption for equal custodial time, we do not see very much change. Florida is about to go through some very big changes. There's some, and I don't know that it's necessarily for the better, but it's kind of crazy what is going on. And so, I mean, look, I always in favor of change, as long as it's, good change and moving forward change. But it's so interesting that we so rarely see any kind of changes in family law, legislatively or otherwise.
Yeah, we are very resistant to changing that status quo, even though there was an article that just came out today in Psychology Today that looked at a study that was done about the fact that women are the ones who predominantly are the ones to file for divorce. But it was really interesting that it went into the socioeconomic reasons why women are more likely to do that, because women, to a greater degree these days, don't need a man for social standing or for an economic purpose. And so there's less of, the world has changed, but our laws in general have not. So,
right.
But some things that are changing are how we, I think, look at divorce in a certain way. And that kind of flows over to another new venture of yours that I'm really excited about, simply, or partially because I'm sitting here with one of them in my office. I burn this every day. It smells so delicious. And the name makes me smile every time I see it. It's Freshly Signed Divorce Papers. So you and Johnny and another friend of yours, Lori, started your candles, the Next Chapter collection. So tell us about that, because I'm in love with these candles.
I do too. I mean, I have them here. It's Lori Stein, and actually, I'm just kind of helping them get it known. I love this idea, and I think it's such a great gift for people. This is And She Lived Happily Ever After on Her Own. They smell amazing. They're beautifully packaged. It's a great gift, but also, you said, I mean, the kind of the ritual going through it, the idea of burning something, having amazing smells, all of these artisanally, the way that Lori makes the candles is amazing, and the way she sources the ingredients, the way they're packaged. I mean, it's so like classy looking and lovely. And then this next chapter, which we've talked about before, kind of getting on to the next stage of your life, which is why we're trying to make divorce not so stigmatized and taboo. It's just another chapter. So again, the Next Chapter collection is kind of about, we're moving on to the next chapter. You light a candle, you're getting ready, you have a glass of wine, you put your music on, whether you're going out for a drink with the girls, or you're going on the first date since you split up, or you're going back to school and you just want to have something that you shouldn't have to drink if you're going back to school, but getting ready to feel good about getting back into the world for your next chapter. These candles are amazing. And we've got 6 different smells, aromas. There's Grudge Fuck, which was one of my favorites. That definitely should be lit before that first date.
What smells like.
It's musky, it's earthy. Johnny says it smells like the lobby of a hotel with some leathery scents in it. It doesn't smell like what a Grudge Fuck actually smells like, but it smells delicious. We've got Divorce Sucks, which is just pretty simple. Smells like a millennial prenup. That, again, is for somebody moving into their next chapter, which is they're about to get married and they've got a prenuptial agreement that they've signed or they're working on. And that's kind of a more yummy cotton candy, fun scent. And then we've got Gratitude, which is my favorite, which is a lot of citrus and berries and just delicious. And so he's got the 6 in this size. And then he's got this amazingly huge one right here, which is a great, and it's got the 5 wicks in it. It smells amazing. And I think, oh God, it comes with these like trimmer things. I mean, he brought all this stuff over. I'm just really excited about it. And I think it's a nice because we always associate divorce with failure and depression. I mean, yeah, it's scary. There's no question about it. But as you said earlier, sometimes it's the best thing for that family or that individual. You love the person, you married them, you procreated with them, and now in order for you to both continue evolving and growing, you're going your separate ways, although you're still going to continue to co-parent and love and respect each other. And good, we didn't invent this idea, did we? I mean, people are splitting up. We're just trying to make it more civil and respectable and healthier. And so I feel like we finally may be moving in that direction. I do. I think COVID helped a lot of families stay together and develop the tools that they need for talking through issues and everything else. But I also think it helped people really take a minute to just sit and figure out what it is that they need from their relationship or their family or their partner and how to best get it. And if things weren't working, to say, rather than in a very reactive way, but in a, hey, this is where we are right now, how about this? Going into it like that. I'm seeing so many more new clients in our office that aren't coming in tears or hysteria or fury, saying, we've really worked this out, and we actually wrote a lot of stuff out on this, legal pad. How can we get through this? How can you help us put into, legal words what it is that we want to effectuate with our separation? And I think that's amazing.
Think about it, right? We don't get up in the morning and call someone and go, what should I wear today, have for lunch today, and how should I get to work? We make decisions for ourselves every day about everything, but then the minute it turns into a divorce situation, we want to turn it over to other people. And I've always found that to be such a weird paradigm that we want to, I think it's that it's so difficult to deal with. But I've seen the same. I've seen people being able to take that breath, maybe because we were just enforced into a time of hibernation, but really being able to work through that process. I love that you just pointed out that a lot of families have come out stronger and better, because nobody talks about that. We talked a minute ago about the press sensationalizing. Everybody's talked about, oh, the divorce rate has spiked during COVID. What about all the couples that were challenged, found, got stronger because they were able to work through it?
And because there was nowhere else to go. You can't slam the door and go out or go on a date or whatever. You're like stuck there. So I think that actually really was helpful. A lot of my already divorced clients that were co-parenting hit some bumps in the road when it came to, even before vaccinations for minor children, when it came to, why'd you bring him home? He's not wearing a mask. Or who did you expose him to? I saw a picture of you on Instagram. You were at somebody's wedding. How could you be at a wedding? We live with my elderly mother. These arguments, and then really talking about how to communicate and be considerate of the other person, and knowing that your kid's going back and forth between two different homes that may do things differently. I have found so many people really, maybe for lack of any other kind of better resolution, you can't run into court during a pandemic, so really did get things worked out between them and are stronger for it.
Yeah, I mean, I know mediation and online mediation, which happens to be my area of expertise, exploded during COVID because it was really one of the few avenues that people had available to them. And now I see many more people, just like you said, coming back maybe after their divorce or as they're working through their parenting plans, still addressing it from that cooperative, look, we just need a little help talking this through, or we kind of know what we want to do, but we need some help fine tuning it. So I've seen a lot of positive changes to our field as long as we can stay out of that courtroom. So as my partner, Woody, Woody says, another day out of court is another day out of court. So
totally true.
Keep them out of that. But I did want to just talk about the candles for a second, because Johnny was mentioning to me, you guys are doing a special Mother's Day package of the candles. And I want to get it for mine. So can you tell me about it?
It's all 6 of them. I think it's $250 if I'm not mistaken. It's an amazing value. So it's Divorce Sucks, Smells Like a Millennial Prenup, Freshly Signed Divorce Papers, Grudge Fuck, hope that your mom's open-minded, and She Lived Happily Ever After, and Gratitude. And it comes in a beautiful box set with a bow. Johnny wants me to tell you guys that you guys can get it. I think if you go to Next Chapter Collection, follow us on Instagram. and take a look and then keep up to date with everything that's happening. I think we're also having a giveaway on our Insta. I know you are also. And so I'm really excited about this. I think it's really lovely and fun and nice. And it's been something that I was thrilled that Lori and Johnny invited me to participate with them, because I just think I think for once we have something that's just, divorce, not so fun usually. This is really kind of a fun part of it.
Yeah, that's divorce attorney, not a ho kind of job. People, but I love them. And one thing we didn't mention that I want to make sure people know, you and Lori and Johnny have all known each other for how long?
Well, Lori and I went to elementary school together at El Rodeo Elementary. Then we met Johnny in high school at Beverly Hills High School. So we have known each other for a very long time. I mean, Lori and I have probably known each other for 45 years, and Johnny and I and Lori have known each other for, 40 something. So, I mean, yeah, we go back.
Yeah. They go back, and it's such a great idea. I wanted to tell you, we just finished a training of a new group of mediators, and as the last day we were coming to the end, I had my freshly signed divorce papers candle, and we talked about incorporating in an office space, if you were signing the divorce papers with clients, making a ritual out of presenting them each with a candle and maybe having them both light it together or light one of them together as sort of a closing ritual to that mediation process to honor it and give them something. And the class was so excited. So I think you probably sold a whole bunch of freshly signed divorce paper candles. But I wondered, because I've always had like special pens. I think I have them in here somewhere. I've always had a special pen my dad gave me when I graduated from law school that I would take out when I practice in person for people to sign. Do you do anything special around the end of the divorce process for your clients?
Yes, it's called drinking. No, I'm just kidding. No, not as much anymore. I mean, it's, first of all, I want the people to be able to have their own experience when they're done. And sometimes it's very melancholy or bittersweet for them. So when I even write to them like, hey, congratulations or whatever, I'm very sensitive, because sometimes people are not thrilled about it. It takes them a minute. I've heard of people having divorce parties and what. I think that's great for them, but because I'm never quite sure how somebody's going to be feeling about it, I generally sit back and wait and take their lead. Definitely now, because we don't really sign anything in person anymore. We don't need wet signatures for Los Angeles Superior Court, so there's a lot of docu-signing. We used to have, we would call them signing parties, and everybody would come in and sign at the same time. We don't do that anymore. You don't have to have them notarized in California, so not so much with the rituals, but also like generally a week or so later, I'll hear from a client saying, I just really want to thank you. I mean, there's some clients I still 20 years later will get, a card from showing me a picture of their kid who just graduated from college and saying like, you helped me get custody of, Taylor. Thank you so much, whatever. And I love that, because usually we kind of represent the not good part of people's lives. And although they're appreciative, they don't necessarily like want to stay in touch or hang out or whatever, which is okay. But at the same time, having that kind of, as you said, ritual or thank you, I've always been a little bit more wary of it, but I love the idea. And I definitely think if it is okay, if especially mediation's also a little different. We do some mediation at our firm, but for the most part, we're advocates. And so it's a little different than being able to have the ritual of both people doing it than what you and Woody generally do.
Yeah, and I think you're 100% right. You would approach every situation as to what's appropriate. What you're saying about clients, I remember one client, we walked out of the courthouse after the final hearing, because back in New York, we used to have to go for that last uncontested. And she turned and she gave me a big hug, and she's like, Susan, you have been so awesome. Thank you so much. I hope I never see you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
For your sake, I hope the same. She actually, though, just a couple of months ago, emailed me a picture, and it was a window, and through the window you could see the Eiffel Tower. And she said, I just wanted you to know I finally got that apartment in Paris that I was talking about. And I've got it. Hey, I've got it hanging on my wall now because it reminds me of, you know, their lives go on and good things happen. And I'm going to be able to use it to tell people. So
I love that.
Yeah, it was actually, because we hardly ever get to see the good that happens beyond that final day, or and often when they do come back, it's because something needs to be tweaked or reworked or redone. So we did mention we have two sorts of giveaways. One, you are going to be giving away one of your wonderful candles to somebody who entered our contest, the Instagram live contest, and then there's a little secret giveaway that we're going to tell people about. But I didn't know, the one thing that perplexed me on all this was I had a bunch of people who entered the contest, and I didn't know how to put all those names in a bowl and hold it for you so you could pick one. So I sent Johnny the name of the person who won. Did he get that to you?
Oh, let's see.
If not, I happen to know who it is, because it totally, I will say right now, everyone, it's somebody here in Chicago with me, but it was completely, you know, pulled out of the hat.
You have to announce it because he did not.
Okay. Well, I'll give it a little drum roll, and I will say people had to repost a picture, tag Next Chapter Collection, and I encourage you all to go follow Next Chapter Collection right now because there's a reason. And then she had to name her favorite scent, and her favorite scent was "And She Lived Happily Ever After" on her own. And the winner is, I think she's out there, so we'll see. Piece of My Soul 22. So her name's Christine. Hi, Christine. You're gonna love it. I haven't smelled "And She Lived Happily Ever After," but I can tell you how delightful this one. It's very
really good too.
Is it? Because this is kind of almost like a Christmassy scent or a fur scent. It's like, I love it. Burn it every day. So, and then I wanted to say, or Johnny and I were talking about it, we thought, well, we don't want people to be disappointed if they didn't get a chance to win. So there's going to be a secret giveaway if you go follow at Next Chapter Collection, which is the candle collection right now, and you'll get to see some fabulous pictures of Laura. You had a very fun photo shoot, it looks like.
We did. We had a very fun photo shoot with our friend Joanna DeGeneres and Kate Hollingshead, who did the makeup, and we were here at the house, and it was a lot of fun, and it smelled very good for many days thereafter also.
Well, I posted one of the pictures on LinkedIn of you holding a candle, and I wasn't really looking at it, and it was grudge fuck that I posted on LinkedIn. So I have to tell you, a couple of colleagues reached out to me wondering if I should have done that, but I blurted out. So go follow, because they'll be posting on Next Chapter Collection how you too can win one of the candles. They're going to do a special additional giveaway, and Laura's going to be giving, Laura, Johnny, and Lori are going to be giving away another. Yeah, stay tuned for additional details. I see them putting it in. Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's so much fun talking to you.
I love it. You're one of my favorites, and I just love what you are doing to kind of further the cause of changing the face of divorce, and as we've talked about, the evolution of dissolution, and just making it not as unpleasant for the so many people who are going through it and their families. So thank you for having me.
Yo, well, thanks so much. I see people dropping in. They're going to start putting these candles in their new client gifts. So wonderful, everybody. You're going to love them. Thank you so much for joining me, Laura.
Of course. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye, everybody. Get your candles.